Yeah, you want to go to the podium? Thank you. Now, do you have slides, Rory, or you
I don't.
just... You don't?
No, I'm a technology company that's not using slides.
That's okay.
We just show it. That's the thing for us. Although I do my notes on my phone, I'm not bored with you. I'm just looking at my notes. So what I was a bit taken aback. I just realized that I need to talk to our procurement team because they might create the next Stalin. Just from the last slides, that's got me a little bit worried. So we could create the new Stalin or new whoever in the world. But from what I wanted to do was to just give you an insight into Accenture, but just also to keep in mind if you're dealing with anything to do with technology, digital, because this is growing at an exponential rate. We call it the fourth industrial revolution. We call it this big data, the Internet of Things, wearable technology, self-driving cars. All of that is what falls onto my plate day in, day out on issues that could pertain to all of those things. In a procurement context, I see procurement in context as a buyer in Accenture and also as a seller and a supplier, to various different industries, of course, public procurement, utilities, and also the private procurement specialists across marine and defense, the nuclear, to your communications, media technology, to your products or financial services. So the landscape that I'm going to try and paint a picture for you of both the landscape and the contractual levers. The thing with my role is that as I manage deal lawyers, I'm sitting down negotiating with clients, either with the Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Justice, then next down I'm with Vodafone, and then I'm competing with the likes of the IBMs of the world, Deloitte's, etc. So it's a very, very busy time. In procurement, the thing I see from an issue which has been dealt with on the crisis that was, which we try not to talk about that financial crisis, but that shifted contracting and what contracts were presented as part of the procurement process. It shifted it to a degree where the risk profile shifted far away from a balanced position to we need low cost as much as we can, squeeze you, but we still want quality. So that required everybody in the market, at least in technology, to revisit what we were actually looking at. We couldn't do the standard build, test, or design, build, test, run type service. We had to think outside the box. So a crisis in that instance created an innovative spirit within technology. And it's not just in Accenture that we do this, it's across all companies. They'll all agree they were forced to think outside the box. The problem we faced was trying to sell the market our great ideas. The first thing was the cloud. And for anybody who's not familiar with the cloud at this stage, it's just basically servers off-site. Okay, it's not servers in your room making lots of whirring noises. It's just in Utah, or it's in Newcastle, or it's somewhere else. Depends which client you're working with, that's all it is. The big cloud providers are your Microsofts, your Amazons, your Googles. They're all providing cloud services. And so what we have here is a software or a service provider saying, these are our T's and C's, take or leave it. On the other hand, we've got procurement exercise saying, these are our T's and C's, take or leave it. And if you do anything to it, procurement, you're going to have huge risks. Everything's going to fall down. It's not fair. It's not transparent. You can't touch our contracts. The problem we faced, and it still exists today, is that what we get as a contract for us to mark up to start negotiations, whatever the procedure is for procurement purposes, may be completely deficient or devoid of any relevance to the solution you actually are procuring. So we've seen things like somebody giving us a goods and services agreement with no liability clause at all. That's a brilliant start. That results in us saying, first clarification question, can we bin it? In a nice way, of course. The next question then is, well, you know it's going to be a heavy markup, and everybody in the markup is now going to throw a heavy markup back to you. Is that really going to make cost sense? Is it efficient? Because now the procurement team on the other side is now faced with 10, 20 different bids, all nearly coming up with the same issues. And you're ending up having to review everything. get external counsel, third-party supporters. Your costs are increasing as you go. So why not start with a very useful contract which has been thought through on exactly what you're trying to procure in the digital sphere? We see really good examples from the government contracts. For G Cloud 8 was recently released, so they have 8 editions now, of a very good digital contract. They've thought through the issues. They're not looking for crazy indemnities or warranties or liability positions. They know the market doesn't give that. They've thought it through, they've tested the market. They're not easy. It will require a lot of thought to agree to this without any form of negotiation. But they put the thought in. So that's the first thing I'd point out. Another thing to keep in mind is contract negotiations, not just the procurement timelines, but the negotiation timeline has been reduced dramatically over the last couple of years. We used to have a number of months to ease our way into lovely negotiations, learn what the other side's sandwiches tasted like, and their biscuits, and whether we liked their pens or not, if they had external counsel. Anyway, A&L Goodbye had very good pens. So what we have here really is an issue of, well, now we've got 3 months, now it's reduced to, say, 6 weeks. Maybe it's a restricted procedure, maybe it's no negotiation whatsoever, take or leave it. Okay, that still requires some massaging of that conversation. And it's a very difficult conversation if you're trying to say, well, there's nowhere we can go. If you don't allow us to tell you how the market is, how digital services are procured or how they have to be contracted with, then you end up in a situation where we can't bid. So as the previous speaker was talking about SMEs getting cut out of the market because of the complexities involved or the costs involved, paraphrasing of course, the other part of this is that you just get no bids. And I have sat down with the deal teams and strategized, could we bid, could we not? And we just decided, no point. There is no point in bidding. The client then calls us and said, I didn't see a bid coming through. Are you not interested? Of course we are. But what's the point? We can't do business into this time. The risk is too high. You haven't thought through the issues and you're not entertaining the questions. So that adds more cost to you because if you're the person seeking all these bids, you end up with the big players not bidding. You may have reduced quality. You may get your contract signed, but that only satisfies the lawyers. It won't satisfy the people who have to deliver. And the people who are looking there to spend that budget, that doesn't serve anything. We understand that everybody has their own personal biases. Some people have targets, they need to have percentage reductions. Let's talk about these things. Don't just assume the market will just lap up whatever you throw in front of them. So the other thing I want to talk about is, even though the negotiation timeline is halved, complexity, I'd say, is doubled. So with all the measures that we all have in our day-to-day working lives, like some of you have got laptops, so you don't have to wait to get back home. Some of you take notes on your iPads. Some of you are constantly checking. You've got tech addiction. If you've just checked your phone, you have tech addiction, right? I do too. And in this case, I still claim that these are my notes. The reality is that with all the technology that you get, you all know yourselves, as soon as something individual comes in, you're brilliant, I don't know how to do that anymore. I can now face and just concentrate on the real challenges in front of me. Yes, you can. But that time is suddenly sucked up with all those challenges, plus more, and you're wondering what's the next tech piece. As an Accenture lawyer and a director of the legal services, we're always looking at what is the next thing. So smart contracting, blockchain, the use of automation, outsourcing. We outsource even our own legal services to India, to Buenos Aires, to Manila, Bratislava, depending on the region of the world of where those lawyers sit. After all, in contracting, we've got over 400 lawyers. In contract delivery, we've 2,500. And contract delivery is my next point. So if you get the contract right, and you think it's picture perfect, you could walk yourself into an unusual situation where the contract gets signed, everybody's delivering, you walk away. That's great. Everybody's happy. No, they may not be happy, but why? So the levers you have in the contract in order to drive the right behavior should be tested and considered very carefully. There, you can have your liquidated damages, you could have step-in rights, you could have hair triggers for termination, you could have service credits for an SLA regime, you could have all these wonderful things. You could have reporting under the sun, you could restrict their key personnel, you could restrict locations, you could basically restrict even relief mechanisms. It's fantastic, but what do you get in return? You either get a price increase because you're squeezing the party, so that doesn't serve your bottom line, or it drives the behavior where they're constantly change controlling you to death, which means just like construction exercise, you know, they come in, they say, well, I'll give you 100 for that, and they say, oh, but I didn't realize there was this, there was dry rot, there was something else, and all of a sudden it skyrockets into something much bigger. National audit committees constantly focusing on, say, the latest roadway, the latest runway. That seems to be exponentially more expensive than before. Why? Well, it's because of change control. So you work through that, and then the landscape before that was normal. Nowadays, it's not at all. You need to be very refined on what responsibilities are for the buyer. The supplier needs to price it all in. So you get the quality. You may have to pay a bit more. It's not the lowest factor, which is the correct way to be, in my view. By the way, these are all my personal opinions before you are saving up your Q&As to remind me how wrong I was on a few points. And I appreciate the challenge if I've gone too far. But I think that if you're going to have levers or you're going to have a rod, remember you also need the carrots. Carrots in, say, the liquidated damage scenario. Early warning systems, appropriate governance mechanisms in order to get the information, to know that something is coming up that you need to solve, rather than, we missed the date. And it's like, great, we got the money. Lawyers love this because we think we're covered. We've got all the damages, we've got all the money, and we can terminate them so we can move to the next provider. But to the business, that's not a viable and logical solution. They just want the deal done the way they asked for it to be done, not to be delayed by another procurement process where you need to migrate all the data and the legacy systems and the software licensing and maybe the people as well, because you might be exposed to TUPE issues. And all of this then comes across to a new provider. And you start fresh with new faces, new people, all very eager, but have you solved the underlying problem? Perhaps not. So termination is not really an option for anybody who enters into an IT contract. So how do you drive a different behavior? In liquidated damages, as I said, governance will control an awful lot and resolve an awful lot of issues. That is relationship. So an example on this I'd actually will use is my 13-year-old son, who's a joy. He's going through that nice dark phase where it's more of, if you get syllables, anything out of them, if you get more than one, it's unusual. So if you think of that, I do go into business, yes. It does test my patience sometimes. But what you learn from this is you can either have the grumpy 13-year-old boy who you said, right, you've done that wrong, take your phone. You've done that wrong, no TV. You've done that wrong, grounded. Done that wrong, what's left? That's exactly what our levers are in contracts. Well, what's left? I can't make them do what I want them to do. He's not going to do it. Because at this point, he's there on me. So I can't really tell him, go up to your room. And if he doesn't go up to the room, I can't drag him up to the room. He's too tall there. He's too big. So what do you do? Well, in this case, I'm looking for him. I can't terminate the relationship. So what's the alternative? The alternative is you have to give them something in return, something to encourage. And this is not supposed to be a parenting advice because I don't have any parenting tips. This is just practicing what you preach. Maybe I don't, but most of the times, if you'd sit down and say, this is something that you should do. So say, take service credits, for example. Earn back credits. So if they exceed the performance, so they did bad today, and they've had to pay out for bad performance, but then the next few months, they've exceeded that performance consistently for another 3 months, 6 months. Well, you get a little bit back. Encourages a different behavior. Same thing with 13-year-old. If you're not doing your homework today, that's fine, but if you do your homework, we will do something that doesn't cost too much as a reward later on. And then they're thinking, shifting the behavior shifts, culture shifts, the whole relationship. It also encourages that 13-year-old to talk more about what's going on in his life, the issues, something's gone wrong. If he was late into school, you tell him before you hear from the school. All these sort of things come through. It's the same in a normal delivery. You want the people on the ground are human beings. What they won't do is start taking out the contract and say, right, so clause 4.4.5, subsection C, A, B, Roman numeral 2 says, everybody in the room just all went, but why do you think the business people delivering these services have the same conversation? They don't. The only time you take out that contract is if you really want to trigger that termination, and you need to make sure you're ticking every single box as you go. So think of, perfect. So think of the levers you could use to encourage and drive new behavior, not just how do I squeeze as much as I can out of the supplier. In reverse, the supplier needs to step up to show, for example, in a crisis during delivery, business continuity and disaster recovery plans are very important. So if Accenture, for example, has delivering from Chennai and the connecting lines for internet access and for the VPNs all collapse, and they're down for 2 days, and you're delivering a HR procurement service, as we provide procurement outsourcing services, and we can't complete contracts. That's a loss to your business, that's very, very important. But how do we switch on a new building with a new team somewhere else? Have we thought through that as an aspect? So I will leave you with just a few points. The first one is get the contract right. Put some thought into it, otherwise you won't get the right bidders. The second thing is when you're thinking of your levers, all the traditional levers, use them. But think of how to incentivize a positive behavior from your supplier so you don't walk into, nearly times if you walk into a bad situation, it's not going to be worse or made worse because everybody's on the defensive. And the third thing I would say is that embrace the technologies that are out there because they're here to stay. They're going to get even more complicated. So if you have the 13-year-old like I do, try and think of them. We love them dearly, but seriously, at times they do try us. But on that note, I will pass now to